My house lost power that night, but what made me tremble wasn't the darkness, it was how he touched me. Nobody ever warns you that your life might change forever in a moment as stupidly ordinary as a blackout. One second I was cursing the heat, and the next, my best friend had his hand on my chest and I couldn't breathe. It started like this. The ceiling fan had died with a pathetic groan, and the streetlights outside our window blinked off one by one, like God had decided he'd had enough of this miserable little town for the night. My mom yelled from downstairs that it was citywide and to find candles. I didn't answer. Because Kwa was already in my room. He always was. Since we were kids, he just sort of showed up. Slid into my life like the breeze under a door, gentle, uninvited, but somehow necessary. We'd been inseparable for years, the kind of closeness that people don't question until it's too late to pretend it's just friendship. That night, he'd come over to help me finish a group project, but we'd ended up doing what we always did, lying on the floor, arguing about music, tossing dumb jokes at each other, and never quite saying the things we really wanted to. Guess the universe doesn't want us to pass 10th grade, he muttered, pulling out his phone. It lit up his face for a second, soft shadows dancing across his cheekbones. Dead. Yours? I shook my head. Dead too. So we suffer together, he said, grinning. And then he got up and threw himself onto my bed. Dude, seriously? It's hot on the floor. It's my bed. It's your fault for not owning an extra fan. He said it casually, but I could hear that hint of something else underneath. Like his words were holding hands with a secret he wasn't ready to say out loud. I didn't argue. Instead, I climbed up next to him, lying on my side, our backs barely touching. I could feel the heat from his skin. Minutes passed. Silence grew heavy. Too heavy. Then his voice quiet, hoarse. Vu, you ever feel like that you're someone else when no one's watching? I didn't answer right away. Because yeah. I did. All the time. Yeah, I said finally. All the time. We were both still. It was the kind of darkness that made you think the world was holding its breath. Then he laughed soft, but shaky. Like. Sometimes I think I'm someone who could be brave. Someone who could do something stupid without hating myself for it. I turned toward him. He was facing me too. And in the faint moonlight, I saw it. The truth. Right there in his eyes. Kwa, I whispered. But he didn't let me finish. Because that was when he reached out. His fingers brushed against my collarbone, slow, hesitant, as if afraid I'd flinch. And when I didn't, he let his hand settle there, light but electric. I was frozen. Not because I was scared. But because it felt like the world had just cracked open. Every breath I took felt dangerous. Is this okay? He asked. Not playfully. Not teasing. Just. Real. I nodded. And then everything exploded inside me. It wasn't the kind of touch that set off fireworks. It was worse. It was the kind of touch that rewrote your entire existence in a single second. His thumb moved slightly, drawing small circles, and my heart stuttered. My body was screaming yes, but my brain, my terrified, closeted, 17-year-old brain was yelling, what the hell is happening? But I didn't stop him. And he didn't stop either. His hand slid up, just under the edge of my shirt, resting against my heart. And I think he could feel it. Beating like a trapped bird. He leaned in. I could smell his shampoo. Feel his breath on my skin. Our noses touched. I closed my eyes. Then my bedroom door creaked open. We sprang apart. Vu. You found the candles yet? It was my mom. My voice cracked. Yeah. Coming. She paused. You okay? Fine. Just. Tripped on something. There was another silence. And then the door clicked shut. Kwa was still lying on the bed, his chest rising and falling fast. His hands clenched the blanket. "I should go," he said. "No." It came out faster than I meant it to. He looked at me. "Don't." He stayed. But he didn't touch me again. We lay in silence, eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling that we couldn't even see. I don't know how long passed before I whispered, "I liked it." He didn't say anything. So I said it again. "I liked it, Kwa." He turned to me. His face was close again. Closer than it should be. "Then why do you look like you're about to cry?" Because I was. Because everything I thought I knew about who I was allowed to be had just shattered like glass. Because I'm scared, I whispered. He nodded. Me too. His hand found mine under the blanket. And we just lay there, holding hands in the dark. Like maybe if we stayed still long enough, the world would forget to break us. But the world never forgets. It remembers everything. And it comes for you. The next morning, someone saw us leaving my room. It was my cousin, the gossipy one. The one who talks before he thinks. By lunch, half the school knew. By dinner, so did my dad. And that's when things really started to fall apart. When I walked into the kitchen that evening, my dad was waiting. Arms crossed, eyes locked onto mine like he'd been rehearsing this moment for years. My mom stood behind him, wringing a dish towel in her hands, her lips tight like she'd swallowed her voice. "Sit," my dad said. I sat. Kwa wasn't with me. He'd left the second we heard the whispers at school. The second he saw how people looked at us like we were some kind of disease they didn't want to catch. "Is there something you want to tell us?" Dad asked. I stared at the table. There was a crack in the wood. I counted it. Followed it with my eyes. Anything but his. "No," I said. His hand hit the table hard. I flinched. "Don't lie to me, Vu." My mom jumped at the sound. "Please, Hung, calm down. He was in your room. The door was closed. All night. What the hell were you two doing?" I said nothing. Because I knew the answer he wanted. And I couldn't give it to him. "Are you," he hesitated like the word might burn his tongue. "Are you one of those boys?" I looked up. And for the first time in my life, I hated him. Not because he was angry. But because he already knew. And he wanted me to deny it. "No," I said. "I'm not one of those boys. I'm your son," I wanted to scream. "I'm the same boy who used to hold your hand at the market, who waited outside your shop just to get a ride home, who cried when you cut your finger on a fishbone." But all I said was, "I'm just me." He stood up. My mom grabbed his arm. "She's confused," he barked. "You're confused." I didn't answer. "What did he do to you?" "That Kwa boy, he messed with your head, didn't he? His family's always been strange. Don't talk about him like that. He turned you into this." "No one turned me into anything." I shouted. "This is who I've always been." Silence. Cold. Long, devastating. Then he said the quietest thing in the world. "Not in my house." I looked at my mom. Her eyes begged me to stay quiet. To apologize. To make it go away. But it was already out. And I couldn't pretend anymore. "Then maybe I don't belong in your house." He pointed at the door. And just like that, I was out. I didn't take anything. Just my phone. Not that it helped, I had no money, no signal, no plan. But I ran. Through the streets I grew up on. Past the corner store where we used to buy ice cream. Past the park where I broke my arm falling from the monkey bars. Past everything that once felt like home. I ended up at Kwa's house. I stood outside his gate for a long time, unsure of what to do. My legs ached. My chest hurt worse. When the front door opened, it wasn't him. It was his older sister, Lynn. She took one look at me and said, "You look like you've seen a ghost." "Is he here?" I asked. She nodded slowly. "He hasn't come out of his room since school." She let me in. His door was cracked open. I pushed it gently. He was lying on the bed, headphones on, staring at the ceiling. "Kwa," I said. He didn't move. "Kwa." He looked at me. His eyes were red. "You shouldn't be here," he whispered. I had nowhere else to go. He sat up slowly. "Did they?" I nodded. A long silence stretched between us. Then he said, "I'm sorry." I sat down beside him. "Why?" "For starting it. For touching you. For." "No," I said. "Don't be sorry." He looked confused. "You didn't do anything wrong. I ruined your life." I shook my head. "You saved it." He looked away. "Hey," I said. "Look at me." He did. And in that moment, all the fear, all the noise, all the shame, it melted. I kissed him. Soft. Scared. Real. When we pulled apart, he was crying. "So am I said, laughing bitterly. We both cried. Then laughed. Then cried again. We were a mess. But we were our mess. That night, I slept in his room. On the floor at first. But around 2 a.m., he pulled me onto the bed. "Don't leave," he whispered. "I won't." I didn't know what tomorrow would look like. Whether my parents would forgive me. Whether school would ever be bearable again. Whether we could survive in a place that didn't want boys like us. But in that moment, none of it mattered. Because he was holding my hand in the dark again. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like a mistake. The next morning, Lynn brought us breakfast quietly, without questions. She didn't say much, just gave me a look that said I get it. Then she told me I could stay as long as I needed. I stayed for 3 weeks. During that time, the world didn't stop judging. People whispered when we passed. Some kids at school started leaving notes in my locker, some cruel, some apologetic, all anonymous. But the worst part wasn't the bullies. It was the silence. From my parents. I texted my mom. Every day. No response. Until one night, I got a reply. "Come home. Just for a talk." I showed Kwa. He looked nervous. "You sure?" I nodded. "I have to know." When I walked back into that house, it didn't feel like mine. My dad wasn't there. It was just my mom. She made tea. She didn't speak for a long time. Then she said, "You're still my son." Tears filled my eyes. "But your dad." She paused. "He's not ready." "Will he ever be?" She shook her head slowly. "I don't know." I wanted to ask, "And you? Are you?" But I was too scared of the answer. So I said, "Okay." She reached across the table and took my hand. It was the first time she'd touched me since that night. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't fight hard enough." I squeezed her fingers. "I'm not asking you to choose," I said. "I'm just asking you not to forget me." I could never. She gave me a bag of clothes. Some money. A photograph of me from when I was 5. Then she let me go. This time, with love. Back at Quaz, everything changed. We weren't just two boys hiding in the dark anymore. We were something else. Something fragile but real. We went back to school holding hands. People stared. Laughed. Pointed. Some teachers looked the other way. Some smiled sadly. But we kept walking. Because we weren't walking alone anymore. And slowly, painfully, things got better. One day, a girl named Mai came up to us during lunch. She said, "My brother's gay too." Then she sat with us. Then another boy joined. Then another. Within a month, we weren't the only table of weird kids anymore. We were a family. One built on pain. But also love. Spring arrived like a breath I didn't know I was holding. The air smelled different, cleaner, maybe. Or maybe it was just that we were finally learning how to breathe in it. Not in fear. But in defiance. Kwa and I weren't hiding anymore. We walked to school together every morning, fingers brushing, sometimes clasped, sometimes not. Some days he kissed my cheek before class. Some days I kissed his. Most days, we didn't have to say anything. Just being next to each other was enough. But of course, not everyone was okay with it. Not Min. Min used to be my friend, someone I played soccer with after school, someone who used to call me, bro, and borrow my phone charger and trade lunches with me when he didn't like what his mom packed. But after the night everything came out, he changed. At first it was small: stopped sitting near me, stopped making eye contact, stopped responding to texts. Then the comments started. Mutters under his breath. Slurs said loud enough to hear but quiet enough to deny. I ignored him. 4 weeks. Until one day, I couldn't. It was lunch. Kwa and I were sitting with Mai and 2 new kids, Dewey and Hannah. Dewey had come out just last month, and Hannah had been wearing a pride bracelet since 7th grade. We were laughing about something dumb, and for a second, I forgot we were still in a place where we weren't supposed to laugh. That's when Min walked by. He bumped my shoulder, hard enough to make me spill juice all over my tray. Freaks, he muttered, not even bothering to whisper. My hand clenched around the edge of the table. Kwa touched my wrist. Not worth it, he said softly. But I stood up anyway. Min. He turned, expression bored. You got something to say? I asked. He smiled. Just wondering how long till your boyfriend dumps you for someone with balls. The table went quiet. And something in me snapped. I didn't swing. I didn't shout. I just said, "You're not angry at me, Min. You're angry because you don't get to live like this. You wish you were brave enough." His face turned red. Shut up. You wish someone looked at you the way he looks at me. He took a step forward, fists clenched. So did I. But then someone else stood. Dewey. Then Mai. Then Hannah. Then, slowly, the rest of the lunchroom started noticing. It was just a moment. A pause. The kind where the world balances on a knife. Min looked around, eyes flickering. Then he spit on the floor and walked out. Coward. I sat back down, heart pounding. Kwa smiled at me, wide-eyed. That was terrifying. I laughed. You're welcome. After that, the whispers didn't stop. But they changed. Some were still cruel. But others were curious. Or quiet. Or supportive in ways that didn't need words. And then, one afternoon, something I never expected happened. My dad showed up at school. He was waiting by the front gate. I froze when I saw him. Kwa squeezed my hand. Want me to wait? No, I said. I need to do this alone. He nodded. I walked over. My dad looked thinner. More tired. His hair was unbrushed. His shirt wrinkled. Hey, he said. Hi. We stood there for a moment, awkward and stiff. He handed me a small bag. Your mom made dinner. For you. For your friend too, if he wants. I didn't say anything. He sighed. I'm not good at this, Vu. No kidding. I've been angry, he admitted. Not because you're different. But because I didn't know. Because I felt like I failed. Like I missed something important. You didn't fail, I said. I just didn't know how to tell you. I still don't understand, he said honestly. But I'm trying. I swallowed hard. That's all I ever wanted. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a folded photo. It was me age 5 dressed as a flower for a school play. Lipstick smeared. Beaming. I think. Maybe part of me always knew. I smiled. Yeah. I knew that day too. But it took me 12 more years to say it. He handed me the photo. Don't wait so long next time. I won't. Then he did something I hadn't seen in months. He opened his arms. And I walked into them. That night, Kwa came over. He sat at my dinner table. Ate my mom's stir-fried pork. Talked to my dad about the price of motorbike gas. Laughed politely. Blushed a lot. My dad watched him closely. Then he said, "You play soccer?" Kwa nodded. A little. Good. Vu could use more exercise. Dad. Saturday morning. You both come. I'll show you how it's done. Kwa smiled shyly. Deal. And just like that, something shifted. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't healed. But it was something. Summer came quickly after that. And it was the best summer of my life. Kwa and I went to the lake with our group. We held hands in public. We kissed without fear. We fought and made up and learned how to love out loud. One night, lying on the rooftop of his house, watching stars smear the sky, he turned to me and said, "I don't want to leave this town hating it." What do you mean? I mean, we're graduating soon. Everyone's so desperate to get out. But I don't want to run. I want to change something. Even if it's small. I looked at him. He glowed in the starlight. You already have. He kissed me then. Slow. Certain. And I knew no matter where we ended up I'd carry that kiss with me. Forever. Then came the news. Kwa had been accepted into a university in Saigon. Full scholarship. Architecture. He told me on a Sunday afternoon, sitting on the steps of the park where we first met. I didn't say anything at first. He looked scared. I didn't apply to anywhere else, he said. I didn't think I'd get it. That's amazing, I said. You deserve it. He smiled. But we both knew what was coming next. I got into Hanoi, I said. Computer science. He nodded slowly. So. 2 cities. 2 lives. Yeah. Silence again. Then he said, what if we try? What if it doesn't work? What if it does? We stared at each other. And I realized something. I wasn't afraid anymore. Not of distance. Not of people. Not even of heartbreak. Because I had survived worse. Because I had found love in the dark. And I had learned how to keep it lit. Even without power. Long distance was hell. There's no poetic way to say it. The first month, we called every night. Texted between classes. Sent selfies, stupid memes, voice notes of each other yawning or whining or laughing. I told him about the guy in my dorm who snored like a dying dinosaur. He told me about his roommate who kept modeling clay in his sleep. We made it work. Until we didn't. By month 3, the calls grew shorter. Deadlines piled up. Midterms came. Qua started sounding tired all the time. I started lying when I said I was fine. By month 4, we stopped calling daily. By month 5, we were fighting over nothing. He missed my birthday call because of a group project. I snapped at him for not making time, like love was something you squeezed in between lectures. And by month 6. I think we should take a break, he said. I was quiet. I love you, he added quickly. I still love you. But we're both drowning. Okay, I whispered. And just like that click. Silence. I stared at my phone for a long time. Then I put it face down and cried into my pillow until I fell asleep. But love doesn't vanish when a call ends. It lingers. In the way you still check your phone at 11 p.m., just in case. In the way you hear a song and think, he'd laugh at this line. In the ache you carry around campus like a second spine. The break lasted 3 months. I dated someone else for 2 of them. A boy named Kwong, kind, soft-spoken, beautiful in that warm, forgettable way. But every time he touched my hand, I felt like I was lying. I broke up with him gently. He understood. Kwa didn't date anyone else. I learned that later. He said, it always felt like you were still with me. We didn't get back together all at once. It started with a message. Kwa, I saw that stupid cat mural near the bakery. Thought of you. I stared at it for 5 minutes before replying. Me, the one with the broken ear. Still ugly. Kwa, uglier. Just like your hair now. Me, rude. But I'll allow it. After that, we talked more. Slowly. Carefully. No promises. Until one day he sent, I'll be home in June. Want to meet? I wore the same shirt I wore that night in my room, the blackout night. I hadn't realized that until he said it. Still fits, he smiled. Barely. We sat by the lake. Same bench. Same silence between us. I missed you, I said. I missed you more. I looked at him. He looked the same. But older somehow. Sharper in the jaw. Softer in the eyes. I hated being without you, he whispered. But I didn't want to hold you back. You never did. I know that now. He reached for my hand. This time, I didn't tremble. After that summer, we decided not to try long distance again. Because we didn't need to. Kwa applied for a transfer. I switched majors. We ended up in the same city by fall. People called us reckless. We called it finally choosing us. Years passed. We moved into an apartment together. Small. Noisy. The faucet dripped every night. But it had a window that let the morning in just right. We fought over laundry. Argued about furniture. Made up before bed. He designed buildings. I wrote code. We got a cat. Named it Diane. As a joke. One night, during a storm, the power went out. I was in the kitchen. He was in the hallway. Deja vu. I called out. He laughed. Vu, he said, coming closer, you remember what I said that night? In my room? Yeah. When I said I wanted to do something stupid. I remember. Well, he said, pulling a ring box from his pocket, how about one more? I blinked. The hallway was dark. But I didn't need light to see his face. Yes, I whispered. And just like that the lights came back on. We married in the fall. It wasn't grand. Just friends. Some family. The ones who stayed. The ones who came back. My dad shook his hand. My mom cried through the ceremony. We danced in the backyard. Qua spilled wine on his suit. I kissed him until everyone disappeared. Later, we sat alone under the stars, his head on my shoulder. Still scared, he asked. No, I said. Not anymore. Years later, I told this story to our nephew. He had just come out to us. Voice trembling. Hands shaking. Like the world would end. It didn't. I told him everything. The blackout. The kiss. The fallout. The silence. The love. He asked me, how did you know he was the one? I smiled. Because in the darkest moment of my life, he touched me, I said. And for the first time, I felt seen. The end.